What's up, Giants fans, Hub watchers, YouTube subscribers, Twitter and Instagram followers? It's your boy Noname back at it again with another Giants video. This one technically also, slightly NFL update type of video. Before I get into the main topic, of course, I just want to quickly address the whole Saquon being rated at only 89 overall in Madden. And that puts him at the 8th best running back behind guys like Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook, and Nick Chubb. And by the way, Nick Chubb, I'm not saying that as an insult to him. He had a great season last year, but Saquon is 100%, and even behind Aaron Jones, I think, 100% way better than those guys. They're not even in his league when it comes to the running back position. And I even made a tweet about it. I was like, Madden has to be on like the most potent black tar heroin in the world. As you all know, what my boy Stephen A. Smith will say, EA and the Madden Raider, they're on...
Who was on crack?
And I'm just gonna plug the video in there. I'm pretty sure I just did in post editing, and that's really my only opinion on it, because I don't really care what Madden rates him as. If I get the game, and I won't even be buying the game, I get it through my game subscription, so I guess I get it free technically. But even if I were to get it, I would just go in and edit that roster, and I wouldn't make him a 99 overall. But I'd make him like a fair like 93, 94. And I do know that within the past hour or so, like I'm recording this, it's just a little past 3 right now. Within the past hour or so, Madden, they were basically bullied into raising Saquon's rating from an 89 to a 91. And while that is kind of a fair rating, it still has to be higher than that in my opinion, just because he's still behind a Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry. And while those are great running backs in their own aspect, I still think Saquon is better than them. The only two, really there's only one running back right now that I would even consider putting ahead of Saquon in terms of being the best running back in the league, and that's Christian McCaffrey. Zeke Elliott is close to there too, just because he's always in the running. Very funny pun there. Just because he's always in the race for, being the best running back. Those are really the only two guys, but not Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry, even though Derrick Henry is an absolute monster. That's kind of the only part to his game. Not really much when you come to, the passing game and whatnot. And before I get too much into it, just check out my top 5 running backs in the NFL video that I made a couple weeks ago, and I'm pretty sure I cover my bases there. But with that being said, that's really my only opinion on it. I don't really care too much about it. If you get the game, just edit the rating to your liking. And in fact, I will say I saw Evan Ingram's rating. It was like an 88 overall. If anything, that might be a little too high. I don't get that, because Ingram is never healthy. How does he amass an 88 overall? It should be probably around like an 84 or an 85, but that's just me. Enough with the Madden stuff though. You guys can check that out. It's all over Twitter and the internet. Let's actually get into the, I guess, news story of the day for today's episode. And shout out to Harrison Jolly, aka Danny Dimes, the Danny Dimes doppelganger. Harrison Jolly on Twitter pointed out this article to me. It says the COVID-19 coronavirus, ESPN writer suggests New Zealand could host the NFL season. Now, before we get into it, and it is a relatively short article, it's on, I think this is on the New Zealand Herald. Let me just check real quick. Yeah, this is on the NewZealandHerald.com, of course, a paper based in New Zealand, and it's a short article really just based off of a couple of quotes, which is why definitely part of me thinks that this is just really intense speculation and a really far reach for whatever ESPN writers suggested this and whatnot. But the basis of the NFL outsourcing the games, if they're really desperate to try and get the season going, if it comes to a point where it can't be held in the US for whatever reason, that basis is definitely true. I mean, they've already been outsourcing games for a while now. Of course, the fun London games, they've been doing it in Mexico, or at least they tried to do it in Mexico this past year. I think they're trying to expand it a little bit more. It's not completely out of the question for them to, do an entire season. Like, it's definitely a reach. We're talking 16 games here, all 32 teams. It's definitely a reach, but if push comes to shove and the NFL really wants to have that regular season, I think that they would outsource it to a country. And the reason New Zealand comes up, and I'll get into the article, it says that the US has more than 3 million cases of COVID right now, and the number continues to climb as the virus runs rampant across the country. Worried about ensuring revenue from their very lucrative TV deals, the NFL is faced with some tough decisions ahead as it looks at how it can resume the sport when the season continues. As of yet, no official plan has been announced for the return of the sport. Senior ESPN writer Mina Kims told the the Bill Simmons podcast, the NFL season should be held in New Zealand as the country is COVID-19 free and sporting events can be held there with no restrictions. And this is quotes from the podcast now. What have you heard from the NFL having their season in like New Zealand or something? The podcast show asked Kims. She said, no, incredibly irresponsible speculation by me. Simmons said he thought it was a great idea. I feel like New Zealand would reject this though. It'd be the greatest advertisement for New Zealand, which is gorgeous, he added. And that's one thing I definitely, you got to think about also. While the NFL, whether it's New Zealand or somewhere else, and of course this is all, like I said before, an intense speculation and reach. Let's say for some reason they get so desperate and their last ditch plan is to hold it in another country. That country has all right in the world to deny the NFL access because they might be COVID free. Kind of like how New Zealand right now is COVID free. Why in the world would they want to bring in a bunch of American football players that are coming from a country that is not COVID free right now and not nowhere close to it? And the NFL has already had players that suffered from the coronavirus, and you're bringing the potential of spreading the virus into another country that's already free of it. They have the whole right to just straight up deny them, whether it's a great advertising opportunity or not. By their government, I'm sure, you think about what the citizens of that foreign country might want. They might be, wholly against it. Now, the move itself is not completely out of question. And like I said, the basis of just moving it to a place of operation, whether it's a foreign country, and the NFL does have foreign, in recent years they built up foreign relationships, or even somewhere in the US, like for example, the NBA has done with their NBA bubble down in Orlando. And speaking of which, I've heard they've tried expanding it to Chicago and New York as well. Don't quote me on that, but we know for sure there's going to be the NBA bubble in Orlando. The NFL could very well do something like that. I mean, they might try and have a whole regular season with the 16 or 17 weeks with all 32 teams. And the reason the NBA has been able to hold a bubble is because it's not going to be 17 weeks. I don't think it's going to be that long. And it's not all 30 teams in the NBA. But the NFL could very well have multiple bubbles. They could have all the games be played. I don't know. Maybe there's going to be like 4 or 5 stadiums that they clean out, that they do for sure, and they know for sure is then well standing, well maintained. Probably some indoor stadiums, and they just hold all their games at 5 stadiums across the season, and that would be their version of the bubble. That's something that's not completely out of the question as well. They might do whatever it takes to try and get this season moving. Then again, the virus could just, I don't know, who knows, maybe by September it does die down and it kind of goes away. It's definitely, that is definitely a little bit of a stretch, but can't really count anything out right now. I mean, for those of you that tuned into the small roundtable podcast on OGR's channel this past Sunday, I think a question that came up was, what do we think about alterations to the regular season that the NFL might do to have it going, to have it continue going? And as of right now, I think we all agreed that it's going to be week to week, maybe even day to day. And that's how it is. That's how it is right now. The article even said there's no plan in place. The NFL, the NFLPA, all the all the board members, all the owners, everybody is still discussing and trying to come up with a safe plan. And of course, we all know as Giants fans, just a couple days ago, Nate Solder even tweeted out, if the NFL can't keep its players safe, and if they will not be able to keep their players safe, there won't be an NFL season. Whether it's the players' health or the players' families' health, which is what they're worried about, because a lot of these guys, they're in great shape, of course. They're some of the most healthy and fit people in the world. It's their families that they're worrying about, the older family members and whatnot. But at the end of the day, nobody really has the answers to these questions right now.
You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got the answers.
It's going to be day to day, and we'll see how it turns out. I think we all definitely expect a regular season to occur, barring something incredibly bad happening. It should occur. How the NFL approaches it and how they keep their players safe is something yet to be seen. Hopefully they will find out a way to do that, not just for the players' safety, but a little bit of a selfish reason here for my need of football. But that's what I got for y'all today. Slow news week and whatnot. I'll have the subscriber suggested vid out the latest by Friday. That's it for now, and I'm out. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'll catch y'all in the next one.